Hey everyone, and welcome to another Extra Time session. Grab yourself a drink, kick your feet up and settle in for a few questions to consider on this week's Sunday session, which looked at the inclusive love of Jesus. As always, do press pause depending on how much juice you think there is to squeeze out of each set of questions. I mentioned in the session that Jesus was a great question asker, and we'll come back to this idea later, but an opener to get us ticking over for today. Jesus is recorded as asking 339 questions in the gospel accounts of his life. But if you could ask Jesus one question, what would it be? And what do you think his response would be? And feel free to be as substantial or superficial with this question as you see fit. Alright, well, as we know, it's Palm Sunday, the time we remember Jesus riding into Jerusalem on a donkey, underlining the way in which he'd come as an inclusive, humble king. Someone who would lead people by being alongside them, by being on their level and drawing them to himself. And yet, following his journey into Jerusalem, Jesus then enters the temple, which has been overrun with moneylenders and market traders. Indeed, he hits the roof because the inclusion he stands for is being denied to the Gentiles in what should be a house of prayer for all nations. And so, thinking of the way in which the Gentiles were being squeezed out of temple worship, are there sections of our society who you'd say are squeezed out or underrepresented in church life today? If so, why do you think this is? And what can be done to address this? Now, as we look at the life of Jesus, we see in him someone who was incredibly inclusive of all sorts of people, regardless of background or status. And yet, here's a quote to ponder from the writer Brian McLaren as he considers inclusivity and the kingdom of God. He says this: "To be truly inclusive, the kingdom must exclude exclusive people. To be truly reconciling, the kingdom must not reconcile with those who refuse reconciliation. To achieve its purpose of gathering people, it must not gather those who scatter. The kingdom of God has a purpose, and that purpose isn't everyone's cup of tea." Now, appreciate there's a lot in that. So, what do you make of this quote? And to what extent do exclusive people exclude themselves from the kingdom of God? Alright, I mentioned this earlier, but in exploring what it might look like to be inclusive of others, I suggested in the session that we do well to follow Jesus' model of engagement, which was in part based on his extraordinary ability to ask the right questions of people. And so, thinking about this, can you share some examples of the kinds of questions you think are particularly good at opening up conversations with people? And then asking questions also involves being a good listener. So, what are the qualities of being a good listener? And how might we need to relearn these skills in light of our COVID experience? And then finally, for now, in concluding the session, I said this, that the inclusive love of Jesus welcomes everyone in just as they are, but cares too much to leave them that way. And so a last question for today. How might we strike the right balance between inclusion and transformation as followers of Jesus? All right, let's put the lid down there for today. But just a heads up, there won't be an extra time session next Sunday, but all being well, there will be these additional videos on Maundy Thursday and Good Friday. And then we're back with an Easter Sunday session as well. But extra time will be back in 2 weeks' time. Which just leaves me to say thanks very much for getting stuck in with all this today. And until next time, God bless you, and let's get together again soon. All right, bye for now.